Good day, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the ServiceDesk Plus Cloud Masterclass series. In the previous episode, we spoke about the basic configurations needed to set up your instance. Today, we will focus on the essential elements required to ensure swift service delivery in your organization and how you can enable this with ServiceDesk Plus. Before I begin the session, let me introduce myself. I'm Nisha Ravi from the ServiceDesk Plus team, and I will be the trainer today. Before you ensure that you have your request fulfillment process in place, you need to set your foundations correctly, right? And that's exactly the agenda of our session today. First, we will see how you can showcase the services that you offer and build templates that are completely customized to your needs. Following this, we will explore how you can collect the required information from your end users to ensure that you avoid the constant back and forths between your IT teams and your end users. Finally, we will also dive into a couple of automations that can help you streamline your request fulfillment journey. Let's move on to the story of Zilker. Zilker is a retail giant which is operating from multiple geographies with numerous employees. Now, though Zilker built its presence in the market rapidly, do you think that everything was fine with Zilker? The answer is no. Though Zilker provided modern offerings in the market, it was still old fashioned when it came to request fulfillment. Now, you might have the question why, right? This is because their employees had to walk up all the way to their service desk whenever they had to request for a new software. In turn, their technicians recorded these details manually on spreadsheets. Now, this was quite simple to manage on a small scale. But when they extended the same practice across thousands of employees situated at various locations, this became quite cumbersome for them, and this led to inadequate and inaccurate information collection. And how do you think the entire process turned out to be? It was random, random, random. Without properly prioritizing their requests or setting time based targets, they randomly installed software for their employees as and when they requested for the same. Now, considering the challenges that Zilker faced, how did they simplify their request fulfillment journey? Here is where ServiceDesk Plus came to their rescue. With ServiceDesk Plus, they neatly categorized the different service offerings and exhibited the same to their end users. Then, they built custom templates on a simple drag and drop canvas to collect the information they needed from their end users. By doing this, they personalized service delivery and even facilitated a shopping cart like experience for users throughout their entire organization. Moreover, they automated routine tasks, which in turn improved the quality of life for their technicians. Now, we will break down into each of these elements step by step. First, we will see how you can define service categories and customize your templates. To maintain the workplace productivity in their organization, Zilker offered dozens of services to their employees. But for the most part, their employees were completely unaware of the different services available to them. And in turn, they couldn't access critical applications that they needed for their daily business functions. And Zilker wanted to resolve this challenge, and they made use of the capabilities available in ServiceDesk Plus. Now, Zilker started prominently exhibiting the various services available to their employees. And this was helpful for their employees because they understood the services that they could consume, and they in fact requested for these services using their self-service portal. This was also helpful for their IT teams because they could streamline information collection with the help of custom templates. Now, we will see how an end user can experience this from their self-service portal and how a technician can enable this from their perspective. This is the self-service portal where I am logged in as the end user. I can report an issue from here. I can raise a service request from here, and I can browse through the knowledge base right from here. Let's consider that Zilker is undertaking a large-scale marketing campaign, and as a member of their marketing team, I need access to certain marketing solutions to optimize the results of this campaign, and I am going to request for the same. As soon as I click on Request a Service, I am immediately greeted with a detailed service catalog, which exhibits the different services that Zilker provides to its employees. By clicking on Software, I can access the template using which I can request for marketing solutions. Now, instead of having a field-heavy form, I am presented with a very simple form which contains just the required fields. This makes my job a lot more easier, right? And on the right-hand side, I can choose the SLA based on my requirements. I can also track the cost that is incurred by Zilker while providing me with this service. Going further, now I'm going to provide the details for duration of access. As soon as I mention the start date, you can see that another field pops up asking me for the end date. Now, after I mention the end date for the access, you can see that I am asked to choose a suitable role or designation. Now, when I go with Marketing Analyst, you can see that a set of software solutions are exhibited on my screen. Now, when I change the role to Graphic Designer, a completely new set of software appear before me. Similarly, when I go with Motion Graphics Designer, I can see that a fresh set of software are again displayed on my screen. As you can see, as and when I change the role, the required software solutions available for that specific role are displayed dynamically on my screen. This is how Zilker was able to collect the right information at the right time from their end users without actually overwhelming them with multiple fields while filling up the form. Besides presenting these resources dynamically, they are also depicted in a visual fashion, and I can track the cost that is associated with each one of them. Now, let me select the role as Marketing Analyst, and as I choose the software that I need, I can see that the resource cost is also updated simultaneously, and I can track the final cost of the service. This is a shopping cart-like experience that Zilker facilitated right inside ServiceDesk Plus. Now going forward, as I have selected the software that I need, I am also asked whether I am in need of an AI solution. Now, when I say that I am in need of an AI solution, I am presented with the different AI tools that Zilker provides to its end users. Now, after I choose the AI tools that I need, I can see that the resource cost and the total cost have been updated automatically. Now that's done, I'm going to go ahead and submit this request. Now, we saw how easy it is for me as an end user to request for a software using a form available in the self-service portal, right? Now you might have a question. How did Zilker exhibit different service categories in a detailed manner, and how did it make its forms user responsive? Let's find out the answer by switching over to the technician view. This is the technician view, and this is the request list view. This is the ticket that I raised as an end user to request for different kinds of marketing solutions. Now, as a technician, within the ticket workspace, I get a complete overview of this software request under the Details tab. I can also track the SLA associated with this request. Besides this, I can track the different tasks, the checklist, as well as the approvals required to kickstart the request fulfillment process. Now, coming back to our earlier question, how did Zilker define its service categories? And how did it make its template quite dynamic? To enable this, you can head over to Setup and Templates and Forms, you can access Service Category. By defining service category, you can make sure that your IT teams exhibit the different services that they offer to their employees. This helps your IT teams to categorize various templates according to various services that they provide. Besides this, you can map them as affected services for different changes, problems, as well as releases. Now let's assume that Zilker wants to create a new service category for applications. To create a new service category, you can provide a name for the service category, add a suitable description, and customize the appearance by using an icon that's already available out of the box, or you can import an image of your choice. Now, after defining service categories, you can create templates for each and every service category depending on your requirements. As you can see, for software, Zilker has multiple templates already in place. Now, I am going to show you a template that I've already created for Zilker's use case. Going into the template, you can see that multiple segments are available on top. With the technician view, you can include fields that are relevant to a technician while filling up a form. These fields could be about the impact, the urgency, the status, and so on. The requester view highlights the different fields from which you would require information from your end users. Now, let me just quickly refresh my tab to check whether the connectivity is all right from my end. Now, I think the connectivity issue has been resolved, and now we will go ahead with today's session. Let me just quickly give you a refresher of what we were talking about earlier. Now, as we came into the request template, we saw that multiple segments are available right on top, right? With the technician view, you can include different fields that are relevant to a technician while filling up a form. These fields could be about the impact, the urgency, the status, and so on. The requester view highlights the different fields for which you might require information from your end users. With the resource info section, you can collect very specific and contextual information from your end users to deliver services on time. Apart from these, you can map approvals, associate SLAs, create tasks, and embed checklists within the template itself. You can further make your forms dynamic with the help of form rules. Now, we will shift our focus to technician view. As you can see, templates in ServiceDesk Plus are simple drag and drop canvas where you can drag and drop any field you want and arrange them into relevant sections. This makes the form pretty visual as well as functional, right? You can achieve these customizations right from the GUI, which means you require no coding effort from your end. Now, what kind of information can you collect? This can be about the impact, the urgency, the status, the request type, and so on. You can also set granular access permissions at the field level itself. You can mandate the field, enable your requesters to set the value, or just view the value. But how can this functionality be useful for you? Let's consider the case of the priority field. By restricting access to the priority field, you can prevent your end users from setting the priority automatically. arbitrarily. In fact, the best practice would be to assign the priority automatically with the help of an automation like priority matrix. You can find priority matrix under customization section in ServiceDesk Plus. You can watch our previous masterclass episode where we would have discussed about priority matrix. Now, let's find out how you can play around with this drag and drop functionality. Now let's say that you would like to create a new section. You can simply drag and drop it on the canvas and provide a name for the section. And there you have a new section on the template. There might be scenarios where businesses require information that is very unique to their use cases, right? And we believe that one size approach does not fit everyone. So we have given you the ability to collect any kind of information you need with the help of additional fields. You can utilize the fields that are already available, or you can create a new field based on your requirements. Let's assume that Zilker wants to collect the email information of their employees. You can simply drag and drop the field on the canvas. Alternatively, let's assume that Zilker wants to create a new field. While creating a new field, you can go with multiple formats like single line, multi-line, pick list, and so on. Now, let's consider that Zilker wants to collect the phone number of their employees. By dragging and dropping the field, you can provide a suitable name for the field. Mark this as personally identifiable information and even encrypt this field. This ensures that you stay compliant to data protection laws that are applicable to your jurisdiction. Now, you can bring in the right technician group and technician while configuring the template. Similarly, you can categorize the request while building the template itself. By pre-populating such essential information, you can ensure that your technicians avoid investing additional time to gather these details. Going further, do you remember that I was able to track the cost that is associated with this service while filling up the form from my self-service portal? You can display the cost details by enabling this checkbox and specify the service cost right from here. This establishes a baseline cost for delivering this specific service. Further, you can restrict the accessibility of this template to specific groups like technician groups and user groups. By associating the right technician group within the template, you can make sure that only expert technicians handle these requests. You can make this template accessible to your end users by enabling this checkbox. Further, you can loop in the right user groups to ensure that you make this template available to just the right target audience. And these user groups could be managers in your organization or any other user group that you might have. Now, you might ask, why is this so important? Here, instead of all users in your organization accessing this template and raising requests for which they were ineligible in the first place, you can ensure that only eligible users can employ this template to raise this request. And to establish better context for technician groups and user groups, I will show you how you can configure them. You can go to Setup, and under Users and Permissions, you can go to Technician Groups. By creating technician groups, you can group individual technicians based on their skill set, their experience, and so on. Let's assume that Zilker wants to group different technicians who are involved in software management. To create a new technician group, you can provide a name from here and map individual technicians by just selecting them. Further, you can choose to notify specific technicians of various events. These events could be when a request is added, or when a request is left unpicked, or when the details of a request are updated. You can document the group mail settings from here and associate organization roles at the group level. Similar to technician groups, you can also create user groups. With user groups, you can group different users dynamically based on specific criteria. An ideal example for this would be to group different managers in your organization. And this would help you to restrict the accessibility of a template like employee onboarding to just the managers in your organization. Now, let's assume that Zilker wants to create a user group for VIP users. To create a new user group, you can provide a name for the group, add a suitable description, and set the condition right here. Now, if the user is going to be a VIP user, you can quickly get a preview of different users who meet this criteria, and when you click on save, your user group has been configured. Now, taking you back to the request template. Now that you know how you can configure technician groups and user groups, I hope you now know how associating these groups to the template can be beneficial for them. Now, besides tracking the cost details, I hope you remember that I had the flexibility to choose the SLA based on my requirements, right? You can also extend the same flexibility to end users in your organization. To accomplish this, you can head over to Setup, and under General Settings, you can go to Advanced Portal Settings. Here, you can choose to go with either condition-based SLAs, or you can enable your end users to select an SLA of their choice. Or you can choose to go with both of these options as well. We will see how you can configure SLAs for service requests a little later towards the later part of today's webinar. For now, we will go back to the request template. Now, as you have seen how you can configure the technician view, I will quickly highlight what the requester view is all about. In the requester view, you can include fields that are relevant to a requester. And here, you can restrict the fields that are available to your end users. This ensures that you do not burden them with multiple fields at once, making the process of collecting information a lot more easier. Coming back, we saw how to define different service categories, customize templates on a simple drag and drop canvas, and how you can track the service cost associated with this particular service. Then, we associated technician groups and user groups to the template to restrict the access of the template to the right audience. And finally, we saw how you can enable your end users to select an SLA of their choice. Now, we will explore how you can collect the right information from your end users with the help of dynamic forms. Why do you think Zilker struggled so much to deliver services on time? This is because they lack the complete context. In fact, due to incomplete information collection, there was constant back and forth between their IT teams and their end users. And Zilker wanted to resolve this challenge with ServiceDesk Plus. But they also wanted to make sure that they did not deter their end users from submitting forms altogether. Just because the form contained multiple fields, they did not want to scare away their end users. Now, we will see how ServiceDesk Plus helped Zilker solve this problem by not only making their forms dynamic, but also facilitate a shopping cart-like experience. We are back inside ServiceDesk Plus, and now we will see how you can gather the complete context. With the resource info section, you can collect extensive information from your end users to provide them with the right resources. You can exhibit these resources or services in a visual manner and also expose their cost details. This is a shopping cart-like experience that I was talking about earlier. Now, to accomplish this in your organization, let me show you how you can configure this. You can add a new resource from here, and let's now assume that Zilker wants to exhibit the different collaboration apps available to their employees. Now, while creating this new resource, you can choose to go with either the existing questions or create a new question from scratch. Since Zilker is going to exhibit the different collaboration apps that are available, the next step is to go with a specific question type. Here, you can either go with a simple yes or no question, or you can also go with a detailed checkbox question. And now, I'm going to select the checkbox type. Before I start listing the different options, I can exhibit the cost by enabling this checkbox and depict these resources visually by enabling the advanced layout. I can restrict the quantity for every resource and also set a maximum limit. While adding new options, I can provide a name for the option, mention the cost that is associated with it, and provide a suitable description. Then I can visualize these resources by importing an image based on my requirements. Similarly, I can list the other options that are available to employees in Zilker. Now, once you have configured the required resource questions, you need to present them in a sequential manner to guide your end users through the form, right? This is where form rules come into the picture. With form rules are actually condition-based automations which perform actions on your form based on inputs from your end users. You can achieve this flexibility without any coding or technical expertise. So this is a no-code automation that is available in ServiceDesk Plus. Let us see how you can configure a form rule based on your requirements. Now, to create a form rule, you can provide a name for the rule and add a description. You can choose to apply this rule to different stakeholders and to specific templates of your choice. You can execute the rule when the form is loaded, or when the value of a field changes, or when the end user submits the form. You can automate various actions whenever certain conditions are matched. Here, Zilker wants to ensure that only when the role of an end user is that of a marketing analyst should these resources be displayed to them. Besides showing fields, you can hide fields, you can enable them, you can set tasks, hide tasks, and even execute custom scripts. That is how form rules are quite extensible, ensuring that businesses like yours and Zilker can meet any unique requirements that you might have. And that is how Zilker was able to collect the right information at the right time from their end users. Taking you back, we saw how to collect contextual information with resource questions and visualize these resources as well. Then, we explored how to make your forms dynamic with the help of form rules. And that is how Zilker was able to collect relevant information from their end users. Now, let's trace the entire journey from the beginning that we have seen so far. At the very first level, we saw how Zilker was able to define the different service categories that they had. Next, we went one layer deep where Zilker customized templates on a simple drag and drop canvas, collected contextual information with resource questions, and made their forms dynamic with the help of form rules. As the final part of this journey, we will now see how you can build automations in ServiceDesk Plus. Do you remember how the situation was in Zilker earlier? It was completely random, right? It was random, and very random. This is because without either prioritizing the requests or setting time-based targets, they installed software randomly as and when employees reached out to their service desk. Now, They wanted to change their strategy to overcome this challenge. And this is what they came up with. It was to automate, automate, and automate. But they thought that they required complex skills to enable automations in their environment. But with ServiceDesk Plus, that was not the case because they were able to configure these automations right from the GUI, which means they required no coding or technical expertise to enable these automations. In fact, they connected these automations to the template itself. Now, we will see how you can also achieve this with ServiceDesk Plus. We are back inside ServiceDesk Plus and we will start off with the first automation. Now, Zilker wanted to ensure that before their IT teams started fulfilling different requests that they had, they wanted to have sufficient checks and balances by seeking approvals from the right stakeholders. They achieved this by configuring multi-stage approvals within the template. While configuring approvals, you can go up to 5 stages of approvals while setting them. And here, for every stage, you can map the approval to specific organization roles or individual users in your organization. Now, I would recommend you to map these approvals to specific organization roles because even when employees leave your organization, these configurations would remain intact. Apart from this, you can fine tune these configurations. For example, you can send out notifications automatically for approvals. You can show the approval status to your requesters and ensure that technicians are assigned only after a request is approved. You can set rules for your approvals. For example, you can enable anyone to approve or wait till everyone approves, or you can also go with a certain percentage based on your requirements. You can ensure further granular control throughout the entire approval process. Let me show you how you can enable that. You can head over to Setup and under General Settings, you can access Approval Settings. While setting approvals for requests, you can mandate comments for all the approvals. You can notify pending approvers if someone has already acted upon an approval, or based on the status of the approval, you can either start and stop the timer and change the status of the request. Also, if an approval or a request is rejected, you can mark the status as closed. And that is how Zilker was able to ensure sufficient checks and balances while handling these requests. Taking you back to the request template, we saw that Zilker had a chaotic process to handle their requests, right? Because they lacked well-defined time-based targets. To overcome this, they associated SLAs within the template itself. With SLAs, they were able to set time durations within which they needed to deliver every particular service. And this set the expectations for both their end users as well as technicians. You can associate SLA from selecting a suitable SLA from here. You can mark this as a default SLA, or you can even associate a user group to a specific SLA. This ensures that your IT teams can prioritize this request accordingly. But how do you configure SLAs in the first place? To create SLAs, you can head over to Setup and under Automations, you can access service level agreements. In ServiceDesk Plus, you can create SLAs for both incidents as well as service requests. Now, I will show you an SLA that I have already in place for Zilker's use case. While configuring an SLA, you can provide a name and add a suitable description. You can configure the condition for which this specific SLA must be applied. While setting the condition, you can go with different ticket parameters that are available right here. For example, only when the template is that of marketing solutions and if the priority of your incoming request is either critical or high, then this SLA would automatically kick in. You can set both the response time as well as the resolution time. Now, you can ensure that the technician responds within 1 hour and the service is delivered within a day itself. For the operational hours, you can factor in both the holidays as well as the weekends. Now, for both the response time and resolution time, you can set escalations. For the response time, you can set one level of escalation, and for the resolution time, you can configure up to 4 levels of escalation. In both these scenarios, you can escalate the ticket either proactively or reactively, and you can escalate this ticket to specific organization roles or individual technicians in your organization. After escalating the ticket, you can automate various actions like sending out notifications or perform a field update. Here, Zilker wants to ensure that this technician starts working on this request immediately. Similarly, Zilker has configured a field update when the request is escalated for the resolution time. Here, Zilker has looped in an expert technician to ensure that this service is delivered on time. Now, what makes service SLAs different from incident SLAs in ServiceDesk Plus is that you can associate templates right from here. As you can see, you can associate the required template from the list that is available, add a suitable description, and mark this as a default SLA. Additionally, you can associate different user groups based on your requirements. And that is how Zilker was able to deliver different services right on time. Now, taking you back to the request template. Imagine that Zilker is receiving hundreds of software requests every single day. Imagine how cumbersome and tiresome it would be for their technicians to start creating tasks right from scratch for each and every software request that lands on their service desk. To overcome these hassles, you can create tasks within the template itself. To create a task, you can create a new task from here or include predefined tasks using the task template. While creating these tasks, you can add a suitable title, provide the description, and assign the right technician group and technician to work on this task. You can prioritize the task and document the time and cost efforts required to complete this task. Now, once you have the different tasks in place, you can visualize the relationships between these tasks with the help of task dependency. Task dependency can ensure that your technicians fulfill the parent task only after completing the child task. This way, you can guide your technicians to complete different tasks in the right sequence. Now, there might be scenarios where multiple technicians need to work together to fulfill a request, right? Here, while creating tasks, you can assign these individual tasks to different technicians, ensuring that you enable better and faster collaboration. Besides creating tasks, you can enable your requesters to select the task or just view the task. You can trigger these tasks manually or trigger them when a request is created or when a request is approved. And that is how, by embedding tasks within the template itself, Zilker's technicians not only saved their time and effort, but they immediately started implementing these tasks to fast track request fulfillment. In addition to creating approvals, associating SLAs, and embedding tasks, Zilker wanted to make sure that their technicians did not miss out on anything important related to different requests. And they achieved this by creating checklists within the template itself. You can associate existing checklists from here, or you can also create new checklists based on your requirements. While creating a new checklist, you can go with the existing items or create a new checklist item. Now, let's consider that Zilker wants to ensure that their technicians make sure that a shortcut icon is available. You can simply drag and drop a checklist item, provide a suitable name, and click on save. That is how Zilker was able to make sure that their technicians always stayed on top of essential requirements when they handled different software requests. Now, as the final part of this journey, Zilker wanted to ensure that different stakeholders were well informed regarding different developments for every request that came to their service desk, and they automated this with notification rules. To configure notification rules, you can head over to Setup. Under Automations, you can go to Notification Rules. With notification rules, you can notify different stakeholders like requesters and technicians for various events throughout the request fulfillment journey. So these could be events like when a request is created, or when a technician is assigned to handle a request, or also when a request is rejected or cancelled. You can send out these notifications in the form of an email, SMS, or even a push notification. You can customize your notification templates by providing a suitable subject and drafting a custom message. You can use the dollar variable to fetch the required information from your ticket or form, which ensures that you provide the right information to your stakeholders, ensuring that they stay up to date about various developments regarding these requests. And that is how Zilker provided information instantaneously and ensured that their stakeholders were well informed of various events. Coming back, we saw how Zilker automated various operations. They ensured sufficient checks and balances with approvals. They set time-based targets with SLAs. Then they created tasks within the template itself and ensured that their technicians did not miss out on anything important by creating checklists. They also made sure that their end users and technicians stayed well informed by using notification rules. Before we wind up today's session, here is a very quick recap. First, we saw how to define different service categories, and then we built custom request templates on a simple drag and drop canvas to collect the right information. We also explored how your end users can select an SLA of their choice. We collect detailed information from different end users by configuring resource questions within the template. Then, we made the form user responsive with the help of form rules. Besides this, we also saw different automations available in ServiceDesk Plus. We saw how configuring approvals can help you set sufficient checks and balances, and how you can deliver services on time by associating SLAs, and how task dependencies can guide technicians while executing tasks. And we also saw how checklists can help technicians stay on top of essential requirements. And finally, we made sure that different stakeholders are well informed with the help of notification rules. For any question that you might have, you can write to our support team, or you can reach out to us by writing to us by using the email ID hello@servicedeskplus.com. To learn more about ServiceDesk Plus, you can go through our admin guide and track the latest features using our release notes. You can watch our previous masterclass episodes on our YouTube channel and interact with the peers of our industry by going to Manage Engine Pit Stop community. You can raise different request for features, you can share your ideas, and do a lot more. If you would like to reach out to our support team, you can access the link that is given on your screen. For any other feedback or information that you might require, feel free to reach out to us at hello@servicedeskplus.com. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. I hope you found today's session quite useful, and we hope to see you in our upcoming masterclass episodes as well. Until then, this is Nisha signing off. Thank you.